I think, at least in my perfect world view of the national team or any national team or any club team, you can't be overly reliant on one particular player. So Heath, I'll throw this to you. Is there any player on our national team that is irreplaceable? Because we've done it without Christian Pulisic. We've done it without Tyler Adams. We've obviously rotated our goalkeepers. Our back line has been a mismatch of players throughout qualifying and in friendlies. Is there any player that you think is irreplaceable? Because I feel like
you're setting me up to get attacked on the internet.
I'm not.
My answer might not be. My answer might not be. Jim.
Thank you.
Hey, Jim. Hey. Jim, I don't think any one player is irreplaceable. I mean, Gio Reyna, who's probably continues to still have the most upside of anybody, has been out of the national team for a while, and we make do. It is a team sport, and so there's no one glaring error. I think because we don't have a goal scorer, that would probably be the one. If we had an out-and-out goal scorer right now where you have this glaring error, I think that is a gigantic hole in itself. But in terms of the way we play, where I'd be most nervous is if we lost another center back. MMA, I think we're seeing that depth now that's pushed guys like Sebastian Lletget to the outskirts of the national team and the depth of that pool. But again, I'm thinking of a Pulisic or a Timo Weah being hard to replace. No, because you have Brendan Aronson. So yeah, it's tough to say. Even Kellen Acosta is slotted in at times. Weirdly, I'm thinking about our center backs of like if you lost one more center back, I'd be really, really worried about this team. And specifically,
who could we not play with? If there's one player, for me, it's Yunus Musa. That is the one player you cannot recreate. There's nobody else in the pool that can do what he does.
What about Anthony Robinson? Because he's really made the left back spot his own, and I don't feel like we have. Not that we don't have players that are, somewhere in that space. George Bello, but I mean he's still young. I mean Anthony Robinson for me is interesting because okay, maybe defensively he could be a little bit better, but getting forward, really understanding his role. I feel like he's been a little more disciplined in the last few games, especially in the June friendlies, in knowing when to go and when to stay. Outside of him bombing forward and being right next to Brendan Aronson.
No, he didn't. He has that. No, these guys bomb forward.
It depends on the opponent. Okay, fine. Depends on the opponent. I'm just thinking that Anthony Robinson is one of those players because we don't necessarily have a backup that I think we're all completely confident as to who would be back. I mean, Serginho Dest, we could put him out there, but that's not his best spot. Yeah. So I don't know. There's no real
Walker Zimmerman for me is Walker Zimmerman only because he's been the one consistent thing for the last months that I worry about. And finding another combination pairing. I'm not saying Walker Zimmerman is the best center back we've ever had by any means, but within this national team, he has brought some comfort to me in terms of whoever you put next to him can be complimentary. He can lead that back line. I found some peace or I guess comfort in him being on the field. If he wasn't, I do worry about what's the combination pairing at the World Cup level. But the other ones like left back, right back, Serginho Dest, switch him to the left, no problem. Like DeAndre Yedlin. Those have always been like issues that you can stop, like you can plug up, you can kind of plug that hole. You might not have the same level, but kind of up the spine is where I worry the most. And Charlie's got a good point with Yunus Musa as well. Like just right up the middle is where I start to get nervous.
Okay, but we haven't mentioned Weston McKennie, who's actually the player that's hurt, Charlie. So I think we could probably live and survive and be fine without Weston McKennie, even though he does bring a lot of intangibles. And as we mentioned before, he's probably our must clutch player in the pool.
Yeah, but I'd also touch on what Heath just said, the spine, right? That's so important. It's critical to a team's success. That's where our weakness is, right? The striker position, even though Jesus Ferreira is balling right now. I don't want to take anything away from his progress and what he's doing in MLS. But you would have to say the 9 and the center back position, not that we're worried about the goalkeeper position, but, I think now that Zach Steffen has consistent game time, and now Matt Turner, who had kind of really taken the number one as his own with his performances, is now not going to play. He's not going to play a single league game unless Ramsdale gets injured for the next 6 months. So if you're looking at the spine, I'd say that is where we are weakest.
Okay. Now let's talk about Brendan Aronson a little bit, just because he is coming off a pretty successful game against Cagliari and leads a 6-2 win over the Serie A club. He had a couple assists. The way that he drives forward, attacks the space if he has it in front of him. Obviously, his change of speed, Heath, is next level with the ball in particular. this is all good signs. I mean, I think obviously he had a pretty decent price tag moving from RB Salzburg to Leeds, and obviously having an American manager, there was going to be some pressure bringing in an American, and Tyler Adams as well got to play. Now they rated we'll leave Tyler Adams out of it right now. Brendan Aronson, an 8 out of 10 based on his performance. And I think that bodes well for him. But I love the spots that he's picking the ball up. It's more central to what Charlie was saying before, that even if Weston McKennie does go down or anybody else in midfield, Brendan Aronson can slot in there and make a real difference.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Brendan Aronson, I'm just trying to keep it into perspective of who they're playing against.
Wait. So you're not going to overhype him like you did with Ricardo Pepi, and then
no, I'm still hot on Ricardo Pepi, Jim. Don't worry about that. But Brendan Aronson, Jim, is one that I'm like, I go back to a memory that I had where we played in the cup when I first got to the Bundesliga. We played in a cup game, and I had a couple assists, and I was feeling on top of the world. And I whipped in a couple of really good balls, and it was against a lower division team. And I remember thinking like, wow, this is like, I think I can, I was playing at the level of the players that I was coming in to play with, but we were playing against a lesser opponent, similar to what I think Leeds was playing. And I remember a teammate coming up to me and saying like, do it in the Bundesliga and then feel good about yourself. And I remember thinking about that, like, man, this guy was really harsh on me. Like, for a performance like that, and thinking about that, I always try to keep that in the perspective of like, it's a long season. Do it in the Premier League, because while his tools are going to translate immediately, there is going to be high highs and low lows of playing for a club like Leeds in the Premier League. That's going to be a lot harder to consistently put up the numbers that perhaps we expect of him that comes with his price tag. But in terms of his overall performance, I thought it was fantastic, and one that hopefully gives him this belief and ability of, hey, I'm wearing this shirt of a Premier League club and I'm able to take over games and moments. That's something that you go from Brendan Aronson, the worry of, can he play in Europe at a high enough level? Is he physical enough? Can he handle the demands there? Takes that on, goes to the next level, does well in the Champions League. And now he's got his next challenge, which is going to be even more physical. The game's going to be faster than perhaps even what Champions League is playing in the Premier League week in and week out. But I'm interested to see how he responds to the challenges that are going to be in front of him. But do it in the Premier League first, Jimmy, is my message.
Well, he's going to get that opportunity this weekend when Leeds host Wolves in the first game of the Premier League season. We'll see how he performs. We'll see if he gets the start. It's looking like he is and will. And Tyler Adams also got to start against Cagliari, so we'll see if that maintains that starting status for the game against Wolves. He got a 6 out of 10. They said he was solid, kept it moving, and the quote was very intense when pressuring the ball. Sounds about right. Hey, the captain.
Who's giving these ratings, Jim?
It's the local Leeds people. I don't know. I'm just looking at. I believe. No, I'm
just wondering. Like, was it a website, or was it like a supporter group that did it? Or
sorry. Let me see. No, it wasn't a supporters group. It was. It won't let me go back that far again because I moved on to my Brandon Vasquez research. But.
Was it the New York
it was like
Post
it was like
Sun,
the Chronicle or whatever, the Leeds Chronicle.
Okay, yeah,
it's a local outlet and publication. So
you're spending £1 a month, Jimmy, for your subscription.
You know what? I try to follow my guys. I tried to follow my guys. So looking ahead to this European season, Charlie, I'll go to you on this. Are there any players that you're excited to see get this opportunity? Obviously, Chris Richards, will he be slotted in immediately for Crystal Palace's game against Arsenal this Friday? That'll be interesting to see if Patrick Vieira leans on him right away. Obviously, the Leeds guys and Brendan Aronson and Tyler Adams, and obviously Jesse Marsch starting off on the right foot from a managerial perspective. Anybody else, though, that maybe you're excited to see get cracking with this European season about to begin?
Yeah, Luca Del Torre with Celta de Vigo.
Good one.
Obviously, Zach Steffen with Middlesbrough, to see him. And
is there a rumor, by the way, of Del Torre getting time? He's one that I haven't heard about in terms of like, we're hearing the rumors of like could slot into the starting lineup on opening weekend type of thing with Chris Richards and whatnot. Has anybody heard for De La Torre?
No, there hasn't been as much chatter around him. I think from what I understand, the coach is saying he wants to bring him in. He's a fan of his game, but he's got to get him assimilated into the tactics and how the team wants to move. I mean, you can take that for what it is, but that's
to be honest, Yunus Musa has had an incredible preseason with Valencia in a central midfield role. So they've moved him now from the winger position, which really didn't fit, to now that central midfield position which he plays with the USMNT Roster, and he's looked electric. So I'm really pumped to see what he can do this year in La Liga. Bye.